everyone. Happy Meal Plan Monday. Today we are talking about fall meal ideas, plant-based fall meal ideas. And I am Stephanie Dreyer, a plant-based meal planning expert and the founder of stephaniedreyer.com, where I help busy parents bring more joy and ease to their meal times. Thank you so much for joining me today. So like I said, we are talking about plant-based meal ideas for the fall season, and I'm so excited that the weather is starting to get a little cooler, and I'm lucky I'm here in California, so we kind of have great produce all year round, but I'm starting to see some of the more seasonal stuff like the squashes and some of the greens that I don't necessarily see all times during the year. So I want to talk today about what those foods are, some plant-based, family-friendly ideas to make for your family with those foods, and whatever other questions you all have on this topic. Would love to hear questions. Feel free to shout them out. Hi, Gail. Thanks for joining. For those of you who are new to me, I do this every Monday, Meal Plan Monday, and I just pick a topic usually based on what I'm hearing out in my community on Facebook at Veg Mama, or on Instagram, or in my newsletter responses from my community. And I just talk about how I can help you. I am a mom of 3. I'm vegan, my oldest is a vegetarian, and the rest of my kids and my husband are omnivores. So I have a lot of experience in meal planning. I have a lot of experience in planning for a family that has different dietary needs, and if you've got picky eaters, you can relate. It doesn't necessarily need to be a dietary restriction. So I've been on this journey for about 15 years. My oldest just turned 16, and I have struggled and have really streamlined and simplified my processes and systems in my house to make mealtime and cooking and meal prep and planning and all that good stuff fun again and not feel like a chore. So that's what I do. I share that with you. This is my time every week to share a little bit of that process with you. So today, let's just jump in. I'm going to talk about fall foods, fall meals with all of our great seasonal produce. What does this look like? For me, fall meal planning so I was in the summer, we're doing kind of like no cook if we can get away with it, grilling, light meals, just lighter fare, right? More out and about, probably maybe more portable meals or easy meals like that. The fall, as it gets cooler for most of us in parts of the country where it's cooler during this time of year, we're turning towards foods, for me anyways, that feel warmer, that are comforting, that are heartier. And that usually means for me in my house, it's turning to my slow cooker, my pressure cooker, one-pot meals, things that I might be able to like make ahead or simmer on the stove in the morning and let sit all day and it'll only get better. Those are the types of foods that I think of. I really, really look to the convenience cooking this time of year. Like I mentioned, the slow cooker and the pressure cooker. The pressure cooker expedites the cooking time, and then your slow cooker, you can just leave it alone all day, or you use your Dutch oven and just cook something and let it simmer all day. So those are the types of meals that I'm focusing on today. That's what fall means to me. I'd love to hear if the fall season evokes other types of feelings for you and what those might be. Shout them out below. I would love to hear that. But based on that, there's some produce that I wanted to call out, and I'm gonna put up a blog later today that dives deeper into this topic, and I'll share a link to some, like a list, more comprehensive list than I can do here in 15 minutes of what all the produce is at seasonal this time of year, depending on what parts of the country you live in, or parts of the world for that matter. So I have got a bunch of squash here in front of me. I'll lift it up so you can see here. This to me is like the epitome of fall. I look forward to this. So butternut squash, spaghetti squash, and acorn squash, which by the way, I never knew about acorn squash until I went vegan. I don't know how that is. I never really ate squash. I have to be honest, you guys, like I wasn't a big squash fan. And zucchini, I ate zucchini, but I ate it sparingly, and I didn't really experiment with it. And it's actually a lot of fun, and it makes a great like bowl or like base for a lot of cooking, especially during the fall. So we're going to talk about that. But so squashes, definitely get those on your radar if you haven't started cooking with them. Some other squashes that I'm sure should, if you don't know about them, pumpkin, for one, is all over the place right now. I feel like everywhere I go, there's a pumpkin something product. And then delicata squash is also really nice. It's like a skinnier, kind of like a butternut squash, and when you slice it, it kind of has that same kind of sweet taste as butternut squash. I really like that. So anyways, those are a few of my squashes. Let me look at my notes here. Pomegranate seeds. So moving into fruits, pomegranates in general. I just celebrated Rosh Hashanah last week with my family, and moving into Yom Kippur this week. And pomegranates are, along with apples, to me symbolize, oh, fall is here, the fall season is here, because we've got these fruits popping up, and it's for, in the Jewish New Year, they're very symbolic. So pomegranates are great for, we're going to talk about meal ideas, but great for sprinkling in salads this time of year, topping your baked squash with, things like that, just to give it that fall feel. And then other fruits, I mentioned apples, persimmons, which I personally am not a big fan of. I don't know why. They just don't have a lot of flavor to me. Some people love them. My kids like them. I don't know. I don't love them, but that doesn't mean you don't love them. So I'm making sure to mention that. Then we also have root vegetables and sweet potatoes. Again, sweet potatoes make great boats, just like your squashes do, for, you know, and we're going to talk about some ideas on that for topping them with different things, or yams. You might call them yams. I guess actually there's a difference between a sweet potato and a yam, but I'm calling it sweet potato. Love sweet potatoes. And then greens. So we're kind of lucky here where I live in California that I really have access to a lot of greens during the year, but some things that I don't necessarily see appearing all the time that I'm seeing more of now are chard, rainbow chard, different kinds of chards that I love. And then obviously kale is abundant. There might be some different kinds of kale this year. And then arugula is also a fall, late summer to fall green as well. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to shout them out. I'm going to move into meal ideas with these foods. And if you want to get some more specific recipes and detail on how to, what to make with these foods, head on over to stephaniedryer.com. Later today, I'll have a new blog post up for you that goes into more detail with some of these meal ideas. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was squash and stuffed squash. Like I mentioned, these make great boats, if you will. If you like, you can slice them in half and then scoop them, cook them, and then scoop them out and use the filling as part of or the filling of the flesh of the squash. Use that as part of the filling that you're gonna make, and top it with like some plant-based cheese or a really yummy, creamy cashew sauce or a tahini sauce. It's a really easy, yummy meal, and the combination of the sweet, in this case with the acorn, the sweet squash with the savory sauce, is really hearty and comforting. It's family friendly. A fun way to get your family to try squash, if you have like adverse kids, is I have a taco stuffed, I'm having trouble talking this morning, sorry you guys, taco stuffed acorn squash recipe on my website, and I'm going to share that in the blog post, where I make a traditional taco filling or a taco-esque filling, and I stuff the squash inside with that, and then the kids can top it with like their traditional taco toppings. And it's a big hit, and it's so easy, and you just worked a vegetable in there, you guys, by putting it on top of a squash. So I highly recommend thinking outside of the box, like spaghetti squash, for example. This is like kind of a no-brainer because we call it spaghetti squash. But if you didn't know, if you cook this, you slice it in half, you cook it. When you use a fork after it's been baked, it's stringy like spaghetti is. So the great thing to do is to bake this with like a marinara or a plant-based meat sauce with Beyond Meat on top and a little vegan Parmesan. You could also you could cook it and then toss it with pesto, any kind of your favorite sauce. In fact, Trader Joe's has a fall, I think it's pumpkin, is it? It's a fall, they mark it as a fall spaghetti sauce. And that would be yummy on this. And then you can add more vegetables, or you can even make a pasta bar with it. Do half pasta, half this. Another great way to work in this squash and the seasonal produce and get your kids to get some veggies in there. And it's really fun for the kids to string. So that, I would say, get your kids involved. So after you bake this and slice it, have them like use the fork and have it pull apart. It's so much fun. I even have fun, and I've done it a million times, and I'm over 40, so there you go. What else? Okay, so that is with, I was talking a lot about sauces, but another thing you can stuff the squash with is grains. So farro, quinoa. Quinoa is a great one. Barley. So you could make say you make like a quinoa tabbouleh or something like a Mediterranean. You could stuff or toss your spaghetti squash, your butternut squash with some kind of grain like that, and it pairs really well. The squash, like a cubed butternut squash, pairs really nicely with grains, and then you could sprinkle in some pomegranate seeds and things like that. It's for like a Mediterranean. Ooh, that's giving me like a really yummy idea for like a fall tabbouleh. Maybe new recipe coming. And then I talked about, let's see, what else about squashes? Yeah, I think that covers it with squashes. Do you guys have any other ideas for baked squashes? Is there anything else that you do with squash? I'd love to hear that. Butternut squash is so versatile, and you can even buy this pre-peeled and chopped into cubes, which is really a time saver. Although this isn't too hard to peel, this size isn't. It makes really savory soups too. I forgot to mention that. You can make some really nice soups with these squashes. All right, so now I'm going to move on to casseroles. And I have a surprise coming up on my website later this week. Check out my website for a new recipe and specifically actually check out Vegan Mama on Instagram for a fun giveaway. And that's all I'm going to say about that. You'll have to check in on Thursday for the fun giveaway. But it relates to this topic of casseroles. Maybe a giveaway of a cookbook or something, I'm not saying. So casseroles, of course, are such a great, I mentioned hearty. We want hearty, comforting comfort foods during this time of the year. When I think of comfort foods, I think of my mom's casseroles, like lasagna, and I put enchiladas in that category of casseroles. I also have, my mom used to make a tamale pie. I have a vegan version that I created of that. So those types of meals, which are great make-ahead meals or batch cook on Sunday and then serve it on Monday and eat for leftovers for lunch, getting your meal plan done there. So I highly recommend or suggest that working those types of foods into your plan. Mac and cheese and pasta casseroles are, I don't know, they just scream to me like fall. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you agree with that? And I mentioned enchiladas. And then the other thing is you can do casserole type dishes in your crock pot or your Instant Pot. In fact, I have a tofu salsa verde recipe that I'll share with you guys in that post I was talking to you about later today. That is, you do it all in your Instant Pot, and it's with rice. So it's really like versatile to use to create casseroles. And I feel like that kind of like idea of having something warm cooking in your oven or on your stove just feels like fall to me. I don't know, that feels like the seasons are getting warmer and just comforting. You walk into someone's house and you smell like this yummy meal cooking. For me, that's what it brings up. And so I also have on my list here for you risotto. I think this is a lot of people are intimidated to use that to make risotto because they think that it's going to not come out because you have to spend so much time, and if you walk away from the oven, and it really is not hard at all. It can be easier. It's basically using a type of rice called arborio rice, and you do have to watch it, but most of the time when I'm doing risotto, I will be prepping other things at the same time, making school lunches or cleaning up the kitchen. So as it's cooking, I'm right there. And what's great about risotto is it's thicker than a rice. If you haven't had it, it's almost like a pasta dish. And then it's very easy, or it does well by adding some of the seasonal produce we talked about, specifically squash. Like a butternut squash risotto would be so yummy. Any of the squashes that we talked about. So that's another idea for you. And then soups and stews, I mentioned that a little bit earlier about pureeing butternut squash. Lentils, roasted vegetables are all great this time of year, as well as beans, chilies, and stews with lots of beans and hearty legumes like lentils and chickpeas. And then I couldn't leave out sheet pan meals with roasted vegetables. So I love sheet pan meals. I did a whole Facebook Live on this. I have a whole blog post, a free download all about sheet pan meals. And I actually have a sheet pan fajita recipe with butternut squash that I'm going to share. It's on my website. You can check it out. That's perfect for this time of year. So I wanted to give a shout out to sheet pan meals. It's kind of like a different take on the one pot meal, something yummy in your stove cooking that you don't really have to worry about once it goes in the oven. And then what else? Okay, I got 3 more ideas for you. The next one is pot pies. These are fun. Like, I never think to make pot pies, but fall seems to be a good time of year to do that when you have all these fun vegetables and squashes. And so there's another meal idea for you. You can try it out. And a lot of times, like, I'm not a big like pastry chef, but a lot of stores and Whole Foods I know has like pastry dough that's like ready to go in their freezer. So you can even kind of get out, or they have not pastry dough, what I'm trying to say, pie shells. So that's like an idea for you. If you're not a baker like me, you can take a little help from the store and make your own filling that way. So I think that's something I'm going to try out. I'm not usually a pot pie person, but I was thinking I should create one that I think my family would like and try it out, because that would be such an easy meal idea. You make a big pie and you could cut it up and serve it. So stay tuned. I'm going to probably play around with that and see what I can come up with for the blog. All right, last 2 ideas, roasted squash salad. So I've been talking about heartier fare, but you can also keep things a little lighter for lunches, for example, or incorporate a salad with fall produce into your dinner plan with having a side that includes a salad that features some of these foods like squashes, pomegranate seeds, apples, things like that. You can use your kale, your chard, all of that is really yummy. And speaking of sides, you can do the same thing with your rices and your quinoas and things like that, your grains. Just add in an element of fall with the produce that we've been talking about. And then last but not least, something that I'm actually serving my family tonight, inspired as I was preparing this for you today and putting together my meal plan, is stuffed sweet potatoes. So my family, and this is so easy, you guys, I'm actually making this tonight because I've got a crazy, not crazy, but just it's always busy on Monday evenings, it seems like, and it's an easy, quick meal, is I use a canned chili. You could make a homemade chili. I have a great recipe for one on my website if you are so interested, stephaniedryer.com. Look up vegan beef and bean chili. And you could make that on the weekend and then serve these later in the week. And you just cook your sweet potatoes, or a regular potato if you wanted to, and then you serve the chili on top along with whatever toppings your family likes, and that's it. That's all. Oh, and I am making a side broccoli salad because I have to have some kind of green vegetable on the table. But I mean, that's all there is for dinner. Super simple. So I hope those ideas are helpful. I hope it kind of gives you some inspiration for using your fall produce and kind of gets you out of the rut, or at least transition you from summer lighter meals to something maybe a little heartier and more comforting. If you're interested in any more help or inspiration with meal planning, you can join me over at stephaniedryer.com or here on Facebook at VegMama or on Instagram at VegMama. I have a blank meal planning template, and I forgot to bring it down here. If you're interested, it's basically a meal planner. It helps you plot out your meal planning, your meals for the week, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And there's a whole like worksheet basically to help you do that. I just created this a few weeks ago. I'm giving it away free. If you're interested, message me here, send me a DM on Instagram, or email me at hello@stephaniedryer.com. I would love to share it with you. It's been such an easy, useful tool for me to use in my weekly meal planning that I'd love to share it with you. If it helps you, I would be so grateful and happy to share that with you. That is all I have got for you guys today. I don't know if you have any questions. If you do, put them in the comments. Next week, and if you like this and you think somebody would be interested in watching, please feel free to share it. I would love to spread the love. And like I said, I'm here every Monday. So next week we are talking about one of my favorite subjects, and it's called homemade-ish meals because I believe in getting a home-cooked meal. I strive, I'm committed to it. 5 to 7 nights a week on the table, 5 dinners, at least 5 dinners a week on the table. But that doesn't mean I make every single thing from scratch. And that doesn't mean if I don't make everything from scratch that it's not homemade. And I'm gonna share a little bit about what that means and what some of those meals look like. And it's a lot of fun. I get a lot of requests for these types of meals. So I thought I would do a Facebook Live about them. So I hope you'll join me. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you next week. Bye.